Today, we are going to dive into a pretty mind-blowing idea from Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman that might just change how you think about happiness. Because the choices you're making for your own well-being, turns out they are not nearly as simple as they seem, not even close.
So let's just start with a big one. When you think about your life, when you plan your future, are you actually choosing what will make you happy in the moment? Or are you choosing what's going to make for a better story to tell later? This question, it really gets to the heart of a conflict that's happening inside all of us, a kind of silent battle for control over every decision we make.
To really understand this battle, you've got to meet the two players in this game. Kahneman's big idea is that there isn't just one single you. Nope. Instead, there are two completely different selves, and each one has its own agenda, constantly pulling the strings on your choices about the past, the present, and the future. Okay, so on one side, you've got the experiencing self. This is the part of you that's living life in real time, literally moment by moment. It's the self that feels the warm sun on your face, tastes that first sip of coffee, and yeah, feels the boredom of a long meeting. Its entire world is just right now. But then you've got the remembering self. This is your inner storyteller. It doesn't actually live through anything, it just constructs the narratives about them. It's the one that looks back on a vacation and slaps a label on it, amazing or a total disaster. And here's the kicker. These two selves, they value things in completely different ways. Now, you might think the remembering self is like a faithful court reporter, just accurately taking down the minutes of your life. But it's not at all. It's way more like a ruthless movie director, chopping up your life's footage and editing it down according to two very specific and really biased rules. So the first rule is what's called the peak end rule. Just think about a concert you went to. You probably don't remember every single song or the long wait for the encore. What you remember is that one amazing moment when they played your favorite song, that's the peak, and the incredible finale, that's the end. See, your memory doesn't average out the whole experience, it just grabs onto those two key moments and pretty much ignores the rest. And that leads to the second rule, which is, honestly, even weirder. Duration neglect. This means the actual length of an experience, whether it lasted 5 minutes or 50 minutes, it barely registers. Your inner storyteller just doesn't care how long you were happy or how long you were in pain. And the consequences of this are, well, they're truly bizarre, as a famous study shows us. Okay, check this out. This chart shows these rules in action perfectly. In a famous study, patient B had a medical procedure that was shorter, but it was intensely painful right up until the very last second. And as you can see by that high bar, their remembered pain was way up there. Now, patient A's procedure was actually longer overall, but the doctors added a few extra minutes of much lesser pain at the end. Look at their bar. Their remembered pain was so much lower. Now, objectively, patient A suffered for a longer period of time, but because their story had a better ending, they remembered it as less painful. And get this, they were more willing to repeat the longer procedure. That's just wild. It proves we choose based on the memory, not the reality. So you're probably thinking, okay, that's a weird memory quirk, but how much does it really matter? Well, the answer is it matters completely. Because when it comes time to make big decisions for your future, it is the remembering self that is firmly in the driver's seat. We basically live our lives in service of the story we're going to tell ourselves later on. Just think about this for a second. A man lives a long, happy life and dies totally convinced he was loved. Only after he's gone, a terrible secret comes out. His experiencing self, it had a fantastic life, filled with thousands of happy moments. And yet, we see his life as tragic. Why? Because the story of his life, the narrative, was built on a lie. We care more about the truth of the story than the quality of his actual lived happiness. Or let me ask you this way. Would you choose to go on the most incredible, blissful vacation of your life? I mean, pure joy? If you knew that the second you got home, every single memory of it would be completely wiped from your brain? For most people, the answer is no. They'd rather have a slightly less amazing trip that they can remember, post photos of, and tell stories about. We aren't just seeking experiences. We are out there harvesting memories for our remembering self.
And this leads to a really profound conclusion. When we think of I or me, we are identifying with the storyteller, the part of us that keeps score, the one that crafts the whole narrative. The experiencing self, the one who actually lives through every single second of our lives, is almost a stranger to us. Its pleas for just being happy right now are often totally ignored in favor of getting a better memory for the future.
So this tyranny of the remembering self, it leads to a huge problem that Kahneman calls miswanting. And it's a trap we all fall into. It's the trap of wanting things that we absolutely believe will make us happy, but in reality, they don't. The main culprit behind this is something called the focusing illusion. The idea is, when we think about a future choice, say moving to sunny California, we focus on that one single thing, the sunshine, and we massively exaggerate how important it's going to be. We imagine sunny weather will make our whole life better. But in reality, once we move, we still have to deal with traffic and work and bills. The weather just becomes background noise. And this slide basically shows the four-step trap we fall into. First, you focus on a single factor, like getting a big promotion. Second, the focusing illusion kicks in, and you exaggerate how much it's going to change your life. Third, you choose to sacrifice everything to get it. And fourth, the result, you get the promotion, but your actual day-to-day experience, your moment-to-moment happiness doesn't really improve. Your remembering self totally tricked you. So, the crucial point, really, the whole thing in a nutshell, is this. When you're facing a big decision, you think you're choosing between two potential future experiences, but you're not. You're choosing between the anticipated memories of those experiences. You're always making the choice for your future remembering self. And this brings us to the silent trade-off that we are making pretty much every day. We optimize for a good story, a life that's got impressive peaks and a satisfying ending, and we often do it at the expense of a good life. A life that's just filled with pleasant, happy moments for the self who's actually living it. So where does that leave us? Well, with a final, really challenging question. Now that you know about the storyteller and the liver of life inside you, which one are you going to prioritize? Are you going to build a great story, or are you going to cultivate the quiet happiness of the present moment?